Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame. And before I start with this review, I know y'all gonna see it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say what it is. My skin is doing the most, and I literally just went in here, scrubbed my face, and put some cocoa butter on, and it's like I ain't even do nothing. Like, so if y'all see some peeling, that's just what it is. That's one of the things I hate about wintertime. My skin does the absolute most in life, and least. Also, look at this. Ain't it a travesty? It's such a travesty. My gray hairs be setting it off. And for those of y'all who have been, following the other videos that I posted, that I was actually within those videos discussing that I was going to try something and see if it would make my gray hair, growth actually reverse. I had to stop. Y'all, and I'm gonna make another video about that, but something happened and I had to stop. I want to pick it back up to see if it actually will work, because I feel like if I were to use it for one full month and do what I'm supposed to do daily, that it would work for me. But I don't know if my body will accept me doing it, because it rejected it the last time I did it, which, like I said, was like a month ago. So anyway, y'all, let's get into this review. So 7 months after everything went down, where they had to kill, what was his name? Tony Dash. The family, they were looking for his son. Like, he's the last link. Now, there was another son, and that was the guy who was dating London, who is Tammy Roman's character. So they find the guy, Vinnie Dash. And they're in this building, and Orlando and these guys, who I think are twin brothers in real life, they're running after him in the building, and it's kind of like a shootout. And the guy runs out of the building, but into Clifton Powell's character, which his name is, he goes by Uncle Lou. And the guy he seems to be an all-around character. He the driver, he a hitter, he is everything. But when the guy ran out of the building, Rob pulled a gun on him, and he stopped in his tracks. So, he was like, man, we've been looking for you for a long time. And he was like, man, I know what y'all did to my father and my brother, so, what do you expect? I'm going to be on the run or whatever. So the dude was finna get snatched up, killed, or whatever Lou and Rob were going to do to him, and eventually Orlando, whenever he got out of the building. And all of a sudden, a SUV full of Jamaicans, I'm guessing, pull up, and everybody's distracted, like, okay, who are they? Where they come from? They pull up, and they end up taking old dude, and then they pull off, and they shooting. And so the goons, I like to call people goons, the goons who were like the twins, they end up shooting back, and Orlando ends up making them stop. So everybody trying to figure out, who are they, where they come from, all that good stuff. And so, everybody's confused. Like, these random Jamaicans that came and scooped this dude up. What's this about? So, LC is having one-on-one time with his grandson, and they're playing chess. And so, out of nowhere, his grandson is like, Granddad, I want to talk to you about something. He was like, okay, I want to ask you something. And so he was like, okay, sure, you can ask me anything. So he goes on to ask him about his mother. So he was, looking at him like, oh no, what are you doing asking me this? So apparently whatever they told him about his mother is a lie, because that's what he straight up told him. He was like, well, I've done research, and the stuff that you said didn't check out. And when he was in the middle of, I guess he was going to try to start explaining what happened, and that's when Lou and the other people came in, and so, they interrupted the situation. And so LC was like, look, we're going to discuss this. We just got to table it for now. But best believe me, we really are going to discuss this. So, he's looking at him like, all right. So they end up giving LC the rundown of what happened, right? And so he looking like, how, what you mean? How he get away? And so they tried to explain to him that some Jamaicans picked him up. And, he was like, well, we got to figure out where they at. So he did all that. So then they go to the next scene. And the dude that's on the run, the last living son, he's in like a little hideout spot where he's with his actual people and these Jamaican guys. And he's on the phone with who I presume is the lead Jamaican. And, he was like, yeah, we'll do anything for you. And Vinnie is thanking him for all the work that he's done in order to continue to live, because if it hadn't been for them scooping him up off the street, he would have got killed by LC's family. So, he was like, thank you for your services and all this other stuff. Y'all, so then Lou is on the phone. He ends up getting on the phone with somebody because, well, he had a phone call to come through. And when he was talking to LC earlier, when he was giving the rundown. And so LC was like, everything all right, bro? He was like, yeah, everything all right. Come to find out, y'all know the dude. I don't know why I can't think of his real name, but the guy who played Shazza on It's a Different World, him. He's playing his nephew. So he ends up going to a jail, I guess, to get him out. And he got picked up because he was doing some kind of credit card scam. So he was like, okay, I ain't do nothing. The woman told me that I could use her card. It's all a lie. So it wasn't even my fault. So he ended up bailing him out of jail. And he was, trying to tell him, like, if you want a job, I can give you a job at the dealership. And he was like, no offense, but do I look like I'm a car salesman to you? And I'm like, Lord, you doing the most. So anyway, he ended up thanking him for it. He was like, I'll pay you back when I get a chance, all this other stuff, y'all. So the next scene happens, and Paris is at her brother's club. And she's at the bar having drinks, which apparently her favorite drink is like tequila. So she over there kind of in her feelings. So the dude, Niles, who is Christian Keys, he sees her at the bar. And he was like, who broke your heart? What's wrong? And so she was like, excuse me? He was like, I could tell somebody broke your heart, so who was it, and all this. So she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So he was like, either somebody broke your heart or somebody did you wrong, somebody did something. So, she was like, well, the person who did what they did to me, they died 7 months ago. So at this point, she's talking about Miguel, which is the guy who she killed when she thought that he had something to do with the situation that happened with her father's inventory getting missing. So he was having a Hennessy on the rocks. And he ends up saying, you're beautiful, I like to get to know you, and all this other stuff. And so she was like, well, unfortunately, I'm about to go, and all this other stuff. And so he wanted a rain check, and she was like, well, I don't know about all that. And, you could tell they were having some kind of chemistry between the two of them. And, she went on by her business. So Charlotte, who is LC's wife, she was being chauffeured somewhere, and she's in the car with Orlando, which is the son that has been deemed the one who will be taking over the family business. So she ends up telling Rob, who is the same guy who pulled the gun on Vinnie earlier in the episode, she asked him to excuse them. So he got out of the car so they could have privacy. So she was like, son, I can tell something wrong. What is it? So he tells her, I'm in love. So she looking like, and so he was like, I need to clear my head. I can't run the business if I'm in my feelings. And so she was like, you need to figure it out. Whatever you're going to do, you need to just figure it out. So, that girl who was the high-priced, I guess, escort, like I said before, she left and, went on by her business, and he didn't know where she went. So, he's just in his feelings about her, and he just doesn't understand what it is about her, but he really enjoyed her company and enjoyed her as a person. And he seemed to really want to take things to another level. So Then we end up going back to Vinnie again. Vinnie is still hiding out. But this time, they show him with all these random girls all around him, and he looked like some situations about to pop off sexually. And then Niles come in. So he was like, oh, hey, Niles, hey, what's going on with you? And he trying to cover himself up. And so he was like, ain't nothing going on, what's up? And to make a long story short, he's talking to Niles, and he's like, look, I need you to finish the job that my daddy paid you to do. And so he was like, first of all, your daddy paid me money to stay in town a few extra days just in case he needed me to finish the job. He didn't pay me for the job that you're talking about. So he was like, well, how much I'm going to have to pay you for you to finish this? Because, of course, he wants LC to get killed. So he was like, you're going to have to go ahead and run me $150,000. He was like, $150,000? He was like, well, what about the family discount? He was like, that is the family discount. So he in his feelings. And then his goons trying to set it off. He was like, wait. Y'all don't understand. Even though he's one man, he can somehow kill all of us. Like, he would be able to clear this room. So y'all need to bag back. So he was trying to make it seem like he gonna find a way to get the money so that the job can get done. So he was like, just know, $150 if you want this done. So Paris and her twin brother, Rio, which is the guy who is gay and he owns that club/bar, and they were talking, and from what I could tell, a lot of twins can tell what their other twin is going through something. And so he was like, what's going on with you? And so she just let him know, like, she was in her feelings because of the dude dying. And so he was like, you got to just move forward. So then here come LC. Apparently LC, and I know his wife, she was out of town. And they hadn't seen each other in a good little while. And so they, had a little embrace and they kissed a little bit. And so he was like, we got some things we got to discuss. Your grandson asking questions about his mama, and, it's about that time. So, they looking at each other like, all right, we finna do what we got to do. So then Orlando, meanwhile, he's meeting up with his brother-in-law, which is London's husband. I think his name is Harris. And he's given him the task of finding the escort. I think her name is Ruby. And he was like, what's so special about her? Considering she's an escort. He was like, I think I love her. So he was like, what? I can't believe this. So he was like, look, just do the job. So then, he sent away to go do that. So I didn't think we were going to see Alejandro again. And he pops up on the screen and he's outside somewhere. And I guess it's the burial site, or just, some people, they just like being out somewhere where the person that they loved was and they actually enjoyed being. And it just was out there in his feelings and was like, son, I love you and I miss you and all this other stuff. And we'll see each other again someday. Little stuff like that. And so his wife came out of nowhere and was like, well, you need to just, we gotta hit while she was basically saying that they gotta strike while the iron is hot, because everybody is thinking that he's weak at this moment and they're under the impression that everything is fine. And she was just like, we know it's them who did this, so we just need to handle the situation because we know that he killed our son. So, he kind of, like, oh, well, how do we know that it's done for real? She was just like, we know. So, y'all, Niles end up setting it off. He done pop back up at the club, and he looking for Paris. He orders another Hennessy on the rocks. So apparently that's his drink that he loves, y'all. So he ends up asking the bartender for Rio, and they end up going to get him. And so he was like, I heard that Paris, like, do you know where she is? And so he was like, who's asking? And so he said who he was, and he was like, look, I met her the other day. I like her a lot. I want to spend time with her. I want to get to know her. So he was like, well, let me go in the back and handle some, and I'll be back so we can discuss things further. He go in the back to call Paris and was like, girl, where you at? And so she was putting in her bags in the car from where she went shopping at the mall. And he was like, look, Niles is here. Because at first he was like, he's here. He's looking for you. And so she was like, who? And he was like, Niles, he over here looking for you, girl. You need to get over here. He fine. I'm like, Lord, Rio do the most, y'all. He just be doing the most. But she was like, well, he was just like, you need to just get over here because he over here and he looking all good. I didn't know he was this fine. And so she was like, oh, I didn't know he liked me like that. And she all getting all bubbly and all happy that he came over there asking for her. So then they go on about their business. She was like, well, give me a little while I finish up. So she went on about her business. So then Charlotte is at the house. And then she goes to Nevada. That is the grandson's name, Nevada. Went to his room to talk to him. And she was like, well, I noticed you didn't come downstairs for dinner. So he was like, well, I wasn't really that hungry. I had homework to do that I wanted to finish up or whatever. So she was like, oh, okay. So then, he over here like, okay, well, I have a question. Because, at first she was trying to, finesse her way into the situation. It's like, well, are you ready to go to the Hamptons? We're going to the Hamptons. Remember, we go annually, we go to the Hamptons over the summer. And so he was like, well, I was thinking a little differently. I want to go, but I want to go to Mexico first and then link up and go to the Hamptons after that. And so she was like, Mexico? So he had a little brochure and everything that showed it to her. So it was crazy. So, she's trying to figure out what he doing with all that. What is that about? Tell me he want to go to Mexico, y'all. So anyway, we get a small update on the Ruby situation, and Harris met up with Orlando to let him know. Well, no, he didn't meet up with Orlando. He met up with some other people and was like, look, I need y'all to locate this person. And I'm just like, but he told you to do it. You're supposed to be helping too. Oh, but anyway, Paris ended up showing up to the club, and Niles was happy, and she was like, forget a drink. I want to go out on an expensive date. And so he was like, I think I can arrange that. So they went out. And so, we don't really get to see what happens on that, but that's what was told to us was happening. So I'm looking like, okay, y'all doing more. So anyway, these two dudes who were working up under Vinnie got captured by L.C. Duncan and other people in his family. And he ended up doing like some Watergate type of situation to them, trying to get them to divulge information on Vinnie, like where is Vinnie? You need to let us know. So you need to either flip on him or we're going to kill y'all. So, of course, they ended up flipping on him. But before we got to see what happened with that, they ended up showing Paris again. And, like I said before, she went out with Niles and she was just outside. Looked like she was outside of his club. She was just waiting for her twin to come out. And so he was like, girl, what you doing here? I thought you'd be somewhere screwing, basically. And she was like, no, I'm going to make him wait. I really, really like him a lot. I don't want to rush things. That's what always happens in the past. I rush things and then it don't work out or whatever. And so he was like, oh, okay. So, the twin can tell that she's really happy, and she, seems genuinely happy, but she doesn't know what his job is. I don't know if he's just playing that role or if he truly doesn't know that she's a Duncan, but we're going to find out. So then Charlotte and Nevada end up coming home, and I'm looking like, why are they together? And why he looking like he got into a tussle? So apparently he did get into a tussle with somebody. And, at first we are not privy as to why, but she was like, yeah, you need to go up there and tell your grandfather what happened right now. And so he in his feelings, and he ends up going, and he was like, I need to talk to you. So he was like, okay. So he was like, I got suspended. I got into a fight today. So he's trying to figure out what in the world is he fighting for and why he gets suspended. Because he is like an excellent student and he done got like suspended for like 3 days or something like that, I think. And so come to find out, some child at the school was like, yeah, you ain't got no mama and you were genetically engineered in a lab somewhere or something like that. Yeah, it said he was created in a lab by a mad scientist. It's like, who says this stupid stuff? Like, it's just so dumb. So the boy got tied in his spirit and he fought the boy. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess that was a beating worth getting. So then, y'all, the ignorant nephew that was in jail, apparently he's back at it again, swiping credit cards. And I mean, he literally took this woman's credit card out of her purse while she was watching him, slid it, and was just buying up all kinds of wine or champagne at this place. And I was just like, okay. But then he was like, what's going on over here? He saw somebody, and the person is Lisa Ray. And her character's name on this show was Donna. So she showed up, and she turned her heads. Everybody here for her. And so he ended up calling Lou and was like, yeah, Uncle Lou, you need to get down here. It's a situation at the bar. So I was like, Lord have mercy, this is too much. So he ended up showing up, right? And I'm trying to figure out what the connection is. Apparently, that's his wife. And so all these dudes were setting it off and living for her. And, she was like, I'm just trying to have fun. And so he was like, yeah, you need to stop. Because she was like, you could tell she was a little turned, a little bent and things. And he ended up pulling his gun out on people. And him and the nephew was knocking people out. After he done did all this, set it off, she was like, oh, you always coming to my rescue. And then talking about, let's go home so I can give you a blowjob. And so he was just like, nah, what you gonna do is within a week have all your stuff out of my house and get out. I was like, why did you go off like that over her and then tell her to get out the house? So he is serving her with divorce papers and he wants her out of the house, and that's gonna be the end of that. So I was like, oh my gosh, you did the most, sir. So then they go to a scene where Vinnie is in the bathroom, and then the dude who we only have heard about him, well, really heard his voice over the phone, who is the Jamaican guy, he's warning him. It was like, yeah, you need to get out the house. He was like, what you talking about? He was like, you need to get out the house. We got some people who flipped on you who are in your crew. He was like, they would never do that. And next thing you know, you start hearing shooting all throughout the house. And one of the other Jamaican dudes, I think the one that jumped out and took him and, pulled him into the SUV, he came in the bathroom and told him that he needed to come on so they can get to a new, hideout. Lord. So then, Paris is a lie. She's too much of a hoe. So she sat up there, screwed old dude, and he was so infatuated with her, or so they're trying to make us think he is, that he invited her to come to Europe. Now, in earlier episodes before that, Daddy Dash is what I'm gonna call him. He had a trip planned that he was going to Europe, and he postponed that. Whatever the business is, I don't know. But he ended up inviting her while they were having pillow talk. And he was like, I don't want to, life is too short and all this other stuff. I want to invite you to come with me to Europe. And, she's all happy, of course. I'm like, oh, what little me? Ow. So they did the most with that. So then they end up going to the next scene. And LC is being chauffeured around with his nephew, Nevada. And they end up stopping at a place where it's a random door. And so he was like, you had questions about your mother. And he was like, yeah. So he was like, I'm taking you somewhere. And he ended up taking him to this place, and it was a door. He had to get out the car. He was like, your answer's right through that door. So he goes through the door, and the guy who plays Michael Jai White, his name is Vegas. And y'all see the theme that they have going on with this show. And I'm guessing that's what was happening in the book too. But his name is Vegas. And that's his father. And I think the other little girl who I thought before was possibly Paris's daughter, that's his daughter as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, he talked to him, had a little small talk, like, hey, how you doing, how's school going or whatever. And, eventually he was like, yeah, I know you want to talk about your mama. You want to know about your mama. Your mama is smart like you and all this other stuff. So, I guess he's going to get everything that he needs upon that visit. And Michael Jai White, he's in jail. So I'm trying to figure out how he was able, I guess because the Duncans have money and he was able to get that pool. But yeah. Then Orlando and Harris, which is the brother-in-law, they met up to find out more information. So he was like, yeah, I got information. I did some digging, and this is what the situation is with her. Old girl is in Philly, living with her brother, and she pregnant. So since she's an escort, he automatically think it's his because they've been screwing. But I don't know how fresh and green she was before she started screwing him for the baby to end up being his. But he all in his feelings and whatever. I don't know, y'all. So then, anyway, what happened last was Lou was at the car lot finishing up his day, and then all of a sudden some gunfire ended up popping off, and he got shot. We don't know if he did. But anyway, y'all, I'll see y'all on the next one. Have a nice day.